We took a trip to 3 Alaskan cities in search of a comic shop. See what we found in this episode. Stay tuned at the end. There is a big reveal.
Please let us know if there's anything we can do to make your life
So as you saw from the intro, we took a trip, me, not Brian, to Alaska this summer. That's right, we went to Alaska. It was beautiful. Thus the Batmoose shirt that I'm wearing.
Yes.
While we were in Alaska, we were on a search for a comic shop. As we often do when we travel, we look for comic shops. Brian did the same thing when he was in South Carolina. Last year, I did it in Florida. So I figured if I was in Alaska, I might as well look for a comic shop in Alaska.
And?
Well, prior to that, I went to Seattle and visited the oldest comic book shop in the world.
Right.
Check out that video. It is pretty good. So how did the trip to Alaska go? Well, we visited 3 cities. Sitka, Skagway, and the capital city of Alaska, Juneau. For those of you that didn't know.
I was going to say Anchorage, but that's wrong.
No, it's not. It's Juneau. In each city, we used our comic shop locator to find the closest shop to where we were. Side note, are there any Alaskan-born superheroes that you could think of? No!
I was going to try for North Star and his sister in Alpha Flight.
They
What
are
their
not
names?
from
But they're
Alaska.
not. They're from Canada.
But Snowbird from Alpha Flight is from Alaska.
Oh, okay.
So there is Snowbird. Do you know any others? If you do, comment below. He doesn't, obviously. Maybe you do. Comment below. You know any Alaskan superheroes?
No.
Thank you.
I know more Canadian ones,
You're a
like
big
Nelvana.
Yeah, we're not talking about Canada, are we? We're
you know
talking
about
about
Nelvana?
Alaska. Stop trying to make it Canadian. So our first stop on this Alaskan trip was Sitka, and it showed lots of promise. We found a listing for a shop called Laughing Turtle Comics and Cards.
Yeah.
Nice name, right?
Yeah, it's a good name.
And after visiting with the black bears, yes, we visited some black bears on our trip to Alaska, we planned to take a quick detour to the shop. Before we hopped in the cab to go, we figured we'd give them a call to see what time they were open until. Wouldn't you know it, they were closed. And we don't mean closed for the day. We mean they were closed since 2018.
Damn it.
We did some research and found out that Laughing Turtle was only open for 2 years and that they shut down never to open again in 2018. Looking again at Comic Shop Locator, we found there was no other comic shop in the area. Strike one.
Yeah.
Sitka, no comic shops. There's only about 3,000 people in Sitka, so
that makes sense.
That might explain
Yeah,
it.
They don't really need that.
They do not need a comic book shop.
No.
Next stop on our Alaskan adventure was the city of Skagway, where we took an old tour streetcar to see waterfalls, and then we found a couple of bars, some canned salmon, and a bunch of totem poles.
I
One
feel
or
like
two.
I feel like we're turning into a travel channel.
We
all
are
of
a
sudden.
travel channel on. This
Yeah.
is comic books around the world.
Like pretty soon we're gonna be like Anthony Bourdain, but alive.
There were a lot of bars. A lot of good bars. But wouldn't you know it, Brian? No comic shop.
None.
Comic shop locator came up empty. Okay, Skagway only has 1,000 people.
Wow.
So it's understandable that there aren't any comic shop. Bars and weed dispensaries aplenty.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
But what else do they do in Alaska? But comic shops, there are none. Strike two. The final stop on our Alaskan voyage was Juneau, which happens to be the capital
Big city,
of
sort of.
Alaska. But of course, they should have a couple of shops, right?
Sure.
They do have a population of 32,000.
That's pretty small still.
So I know, but
Considering we're from New York
there's-
City and we have, what, 11
But
million?
there's states in the United States
8
that
million?
have 32,000 people, right? And that they have comic shops. Before we went to the comic shop, we visited a glacier. We found a bunch more bars, some fur underwear. Yes, real fur underwear.
Okay.
And more bars.
What kind of animal?
Like fur. Like it was like...
Yeah, it was like a bear? Was it bear underwear?
I don't know.
Raccoon?
Yeah, no, look. See, this is what they look
Could you order your animal?
like. I don't know. They were very interesting and very expensive.
Could you say to the proprietor, I would like some coon
I would like
skin
some
underwear?
Well, I would think they were made out of beaver.
That would be very fitting.
There you go. Beaver fur. There you go, see? What do you know it, Brian? There is no comic book shops in Juneau, the capital of the last frontier.
Ay, ay, ay.
Apparently that means they have no comic shops in Alaska.
I have an issue with you describing Alaska as the last frontier.
That's,
you know why,
that's
right?
the name of it.
No. Space is the last frontier.
No, Alaska is
Frontier.
nicknamed the last
I don't
frontier.
want to hear it.
So there you go, Brian. Strike 3.
Wow.
There seems to be no comic shops in Alaska. So where did the Alaskan people find their weekly dose of Marvel and DC superheroes? Who the hell knows? I don't. I have no clue.
Did you see movie theaters while you were there?
No.
Huh.
You're right.
Interesting.
So the big reveal is Alaska has no comic shops. If you want to tap a wide open frontier for comic book selling, Alaska is the place. I'm thinking about you, Greg, from Newcomb Comics. Open up an Alaskan location. It's a good idea. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
And a last side note for Brian, Cyclops and Havoc are both from Alaska, of X-Men fame.
Are they really?
They were born in Alaska.
Weird. I didn't know
Yes.
that. Why wouldn't I not know that?
You failed. Even though we are unable to find comic shops in Alaska, we did get to see bears, bears, and killer whales. I
Okay.
couldn't think of another bee. There aren't any beets.
I'm sorry, I still none of those
In
are,
Alaska.
In my opinion, none of those are as cool as comics.
No, not at all.
I'm joking.
So next trip, we plan on visiting a city that is rich in comic book shops. Maybe we'll visit Tennessee or Rhode Island.
Rhode Island?
Actually, we're planning on our next trip, big trip, will probably be to Halifax, and I don't know if there'll be comic shops there because I am making a grand assumption that comic shops don't open in cold places. Cold and comics don't mesh together, so I'm just going to guess right now that Halifax has no comic shops. If you are from Alaska and you know there is a comic shop near you, please comment and let us know what the comic shop is. We would love to take a second trip to Alaska and visit an actual comic shop. We came up empty 3 times. 3 strikes, we're out. Love what you collect.
Collect what you love.
We'll see you next time. It won't be in Alaska.
We would be honored if you would join us.